What's going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley, and I am very excited because in this video we are going to be comparing two separate cryptocurrency mining companies, both of them based here in Canada and both of them with very different ideas about what making money looks like. So in this video, I'm going to break that down for you, and we are going to go through a full in-depth analysis of HUT8 and HIVE mining. We're going to give you everything you need to know. Let's go. Okay, so the question we are going to try and answer in this video is, should you buy HUT8 or HIVE? Which one should you buy, if either of them? And the reason we are answering that is because this question has come up several times in my Discord chat. I've been requested about it. I've got comments on it. I've got pretty much everything on it. So we are going to finally address it. And if you guys are interested in joining the Discord chat, that is where I share all of my technical analysis, my weekly watch list, and I'm building a community of traders to share their own thoughts, opinions, trades, research, and due diligence. If you're interested in that, there's a link down below. It is $5 per month, and I would love to have you there. But let's jump into HUT8 and HIVE. So HUT8 on the left-hand side here, we're going to always talk about them first, and then we're going to compare them to HIVE. The ticker symbol is HUT. They trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange, headquartered in Toronto, and the price as I make this video is $7.99, giving them a market cap of just under $900 million. This is what their logo looks like on the left. Now, HIVE is a little bit different. Their ticker symbol is HIVE. They actually trade on the Venture Exchange, and they're headquartered, or at least their press releases, come out of the Vancouver area. They are priced at $3.27, but they have a higher market cap, meaning that the company is worth more at $1.13 billion. So they're worth about $200 million more. Now, not a huge difference there, maybe about 20%, 25%. They're not huge. They do have similar business models, and this is what you can kind of copy and paste from what the companies describe themselves as on their press releases. HUT8 is one of Canada's oldest and largest Bitcoin miners, providing value for investors through low production cost and appreciation in the Bitcoin inventory. So that's an important part here. They have a Bitcoin inventory, meaning that they are holding the Bitcoins. They're not selling them after they mine them. So that is super, super interesting here, because HIVE blockchain is very, very different. HIVE Blockchain Technologies Ltd. is a growth-oriented TSX venture-listed company building a bridge from blockchain sector to traditional capital markets. HIVE owns state-of-the-art green energy-powered data center facilities in Canada, Sweden, and Iceland, which produce newly minted digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum continuously and on the cloud. They don't mention anything about holding and storing those coins. And so what they are actually doing is they are mining them and then converting them into dollars and generating a profit, whereas HUT8 is not generating a profit. So simplified business model for these two companies. HUT8 is mining and holding Bitcoin. They are not generating a profit. HIVE is mining currencies and selling them to generate a profit. They are mining both Bitcoin and Ethereum, converting them into US dollars or whatever currency they want, and generating a profit. So both of the companies are doing the exact same thing, but how they make money and how they generate profit is a little bit different. HIVE is converting it into a currency that can actually be traded and used and can be registered as profit for the company. HUT8 is just storing all those mined Bitcoins in Bitcoin. The idea behind that is that if Bitcoin is worth more in the future, they're better off paying interest on any debt that we're going to get into a second, or just paying the expenses right now and selling the Bitcoin at a future date at a higher price. So very, very different ideas about profit for two companies that do theoretically the exact same thing. Now, HUT8 is actually based in Alberta, so really close to me. I'm located in Calgary, and both Medicine Hat and Drumheller are about 2 hours away from me, which is really, really cool. I'd actually like to go visit these facilities and kind of walk through them. I think that'd be awesome. So if there's anybody from management watching this video right now, I want to come out and see you. And then HIVE actually has 3 facilities, one in Canada, one in Sweden, and one in Iceland, and they are basically large facilities with specific types of computer machines that will do the mining of the Bitcoin. So really, really interesting. And then the Bitcoin basically goes into a wallet, and these companies can choose, do they want to convert it into a currency, or do they just want to hold it as Bitcoin? So really, really crazy business model when you think about it. Now let's start diving into the balance sheet. So you have to remember, these numbers are dated September 30th, 2020. So hopefully we see updated financials coming out soon. But a couple things I want to point out. Number one is that you can see this thing right here, digital assets and digital assets collateral for HUT8 Mining Group equals around $40 million here. And so this is the primary set of assets that they have, and imagine how many Bitcoin that is, and imagine the value of it back in September 30th, 2020, when Bitcoin was around $10,000 US. Now it's around $40,000 US. So I'm very excited to see the value of this on their next set of financials. So balance sheet, $46 million in assets as of September 30th, $72 million in total assets, and they do have some debt here. They have a loan payable for $27 million that I'm going to talk about in just one second here, but their total debt's around $31 million. So not too bad. Much more assets than liabilities, so no issues there. And now let's just talk about HIVE real quick. When you go through the HIVE balance sheet, you can see that their assets are much smaller. It's only around $30 million in digital currencies, as well as accounts receivables and prepaids, and then cash and cash equivalents. So a little bit smaller on the asset side, but they also have much less debt. They don't have any major loans. Their largest loan is around, or totals, $2.7 million. So nothing huge compared to the $27 million loan that Hut 8 Mining Corp had on September 30th, 2020. I'm going to give you an update on that loan at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned till then. But if you get any value so far, remember to click that like and subscribe button. I sincerely appreciate it. Now, let's start talking about that Hut 8 debt. So that big debt number that was right here, the $27 million, let's talk about that real quick. If you want to do more research on that number, you have to go to the note that was associated. That's what I did. I went through the financials and I found all of the information around that loan, and here's a screenshot of it. As you can see, it's a $26 million loan, $20 million to Genesis Global Capitals LLC. It is paying at 8% interest. You can see that the loan bears 8% interest per annum right here, and it is secured with Bitcoin. And what's really interesting is if the value of Bitcoin drops below a certain level, they need to put more Bitcoin into the collateral account. But if Bitcoin rises to a certain level, they can then pull that Bitcoin out. So really, really interesting loan. I'm sure this was a very interesting negotiation for how they structured this one. I'm sure it wasn't a standard loan and it needed a lot of approvals, but they have a loan and they're actually using this money. So what's really cool is they're using this money and they're paying 8% on it. And this is what's covering all the operating expenses and everything that they need to pay for and do. And then all the Bitcoin that they're mining, they're just storing it as digital assets, because if the value of Bitcoin goes up by more than 8% per year, which so far has been absolutely no problem, but if the value goes up by more than 8% per year, this makes a whole lot of sense, because they're better off paying interest in US dollars to this bank rather than paying it in Bitcoin and selling that Bitcoin and converting it like what HIVE is doing. So really, really interesting business model. They're taking out debt to fund their operations so that they can hold Bitcoin as long as possible. Now, when you look at HIVE, it's a little bit different. So if you go down, you can see, number one, they're diversified between Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and Bitcoin. So they're holding 3 different cryptocurrencies, which number one is just totally different than Hut 8. And then when you go down here, you can see how much they've mined and how much they've sold. So opening balance of Bitcoin was $3 million. Digital currency mined was $19 million. Digital assets received, probably for services or help or fees or whatever it is, only $33,000. And then digital currencies sold, $14 million. So this is the difference in these two companies here, is that HIVE is selling the digital currency to generate a profit right now. Hut 8 is not doing that. They are taking on debt to fund the operations to hold the Bitcoin as long as possible. That's the difference between these two companies. It took me a couple minutes to kind of figure that out when I was just looking at them as a new investor, but that's the important difference here that you need to be well aware of. Now, when you look at the income statements, these are complicated income statements, but it starts to make sense what I'm talking about. So as you can see, digital assets mined, $5 million right here, $490,000 in hosting fees, cost of services, gross profit was negative $5 million. These guys lost money because they had negative gross profit. They were not making money because they didn't sell anything to bring in revenue. The only thing that they did was mine the Bitcoin, but it did cost them a little bit of money to get that. So their gross profit was negative. And then the reevaluate, and then you have the reevaluation of digital assets. So that's what it cost them when it came out of the basically computer, was $5.2 million. And then they received an extra $5.5 million at the end of the quarter on September 30th, because the value of the Bitcoin that they had mined had increased from when they mined it to September 30th. So that's what this 5.5 is here. And then they had about $1 million in operational expenses right here, and general and office, professional, share-based payments, things like that. And so for the quarter, their operating income was negative $840,000 and their net income was negative $900,000. And so Hut 8 Mining lost $900,000 on the quarter. However, they mined a whole bunch of Bitcoin Bitcoin, which is basically going straight to the balance sheet. And if that Bitcoin is worth more in the future, they can sell it at any point, convert it into cash, and make a ton of money. So that's the idea behind HUT8. That is why they're losing money, and I would expect them to continue losing money in terms of a US dollar income statement right here. I would expect that to continue. However, I would expect the value of the Bitcoin on their balance sheet to increase, which will also come back to the income statement here. Now, when we look at HIVE, this is also a little bit different. So income from digital currency mining, so almost $13 million here. And then you've got the costs, and you can see that they had a gross profit of $7.4 million. So right away here, you can see that HIVE made $7.4 million and HUT8 mining lost $5.6 million. And that's where the difference is in these guys' business model. When you scale it all the way down, you can see that their expenses were almost identical. Actually, HIVE's expenses were $1 million and the expenses for HUT8 mining were $955,000. So really interesting. Totally different income statements here, but the expenses are almost the exact same, which is nice to see. It shows that neither of them are going over and above what they should be spending on expenses, so that's nice to see. And then the income statement, or the net income for HIVE, came in at $9.2 million. So HIVE made $9.2 million and HUT8 lost $900,000. So that's what the income statements look like. Again, this is dated for September 30th, so it's a few months back, but that's how you would read these things, and I'm super excited to see what the next set of financials look like, because I'm going to break those down for you as well. But so make sure you like and subscribe. But that's what I'm reading here. Now, is this good or is this bad? Well, honestly, HIVE is sort of the short-term answer here because they're converting it into US dollars right away, and so they then have liquid cash and profits to do with what they want. HUT8 is a little bit more risk reward because if Bitcoin continues to go up, they have a much higher reward because they can sell at a later date and capitalize on that gain. However, if Bitcoin crashed tomorrow, HUT8 would be stuck with all this Bitcoin that isn't worth very much, while HIVE would have already cashed in. So it really kind of depends on whether or not Bitcoin continues to go up. HUT8 mining would be the long term. Bitcoin continues to go up, and they're holding Bitcoin, so that's the play. But if Bitcoin crashes, HIVE would be the stock you want to own because they've already generated all the profits. So kind of a crazy situation there. Now, HUT8 daily chart, as you can see, they hit a high of around $8. It came all the way back down to $4. The stock lost 50% here. You got to know that. Stock moved by 50% in a matter of just like 3 or 4 weeks here. It went from $8 to $4, and now we're back at $8. We hit a high of $8.88 on Monday, I believe, of this week, and now we're trading right around $8.799 right now. So I see a double top right here. I also see a bit of a trend line. I think the industry is moving up, and as long as Bitcoin continues, I do expect a breakout of the $8 level. Now, when we look at the HIVE chart, this is a daily chart as well, and as you can see, I have a stop limit order right here, and that's because I'm actively invested in HIVE. So yes, I do have a position in these guys. HIVE hit a high of $3.50. They came all the way back down to around $2.25, and now they're retesting that $3.50 level again. I am expecting a breakout from HIVE again if the price of Bitcoin continues. And what's really interesting about these charts is like these patterns are very similar. They hit the highs on almost the exact same days. They hit the lows at almost the exact same days. And now we are retesting the highs on the exact same days. So very similar charts, even though these companies have very different business models and their net income statements are complete opposites. Really interesting situation. Now, if you guys are wondering where I'm getting these charts, I personally use Questrade for all of my trading and investing. And if you guys are interested, there's a link in the description that will give you $50 in free commission, so you can try it out completely risk-free, and it won't cost you anything to even make the trades. There's a link down below, and the reason that you should try this out is because they didn't stop me from trading GameStop. So unlike all the other brokers, these guys didn't limit any trading, or at least that I'm aware of right now, and so I highly recommend them. I use Questrade every single day. Okay, now it's time to start looking at the Bitcoin chart. So this is the Bitcoin price dating all the way back to kind of October, November in here. As you can see, it was trading as low as $10,000 back in October and November, and now it is trading at $48,247, which is absolutely amazing and unbelievable, and I can't believe how much it has run up. But it should be extremely good for these companies because neither of them have reported in this time span. So I'm really looking forward to the next set of financials because Bitcoin is on an absolute run. Now let's take a quick look at Ethereum because HIVE also mines in Ethereum, and so Ethereum is also showing a similar chart. It is pretty much at an all-time high at almost $1,800. It's currently at $1,791, and it has pretty much stayed above this 50-day moving average the entire time. Again, coming up from 400 back in the day to over 1791. So I think this might have run up even a little bit more than Bitcoin, which is absolutely unbelievable. Now, recent news. Both of these companies have put out a ton of recent news. So Hut 8 has repaid their loan. So as of right now, they don't have a ton of debt on their balance sheet. I believe they've actually cleared up most of the loan that was on their balance sheet. So as of right now, their book value is doing extremely well. They have also raised $77.5 million, and they're holding a ton of Bitcoin that as of right now is worth a whole lot of money. As we saw, it's worth almost $48,000 per Bitcoin right now, and I know they have a lot of them. In other news, HIVE, when we look at HIVE, they have announced that they are expanding their Ethereum footprint, which, as you can tell, is probably a good thing considering the price of Ethereum over the last few months. They've also raised $15 million, and they have doubled their Bitcoin capacity. So they're well diversified between Bitcoin and Ethereum. I do like that about them. I think it gives them a little bit of an advantage there. However, if Bitcoin gives a better return over the long term, then maybe you want to hold more Bitcoin. So my final thoughts are that I like Hut 8 because they're holding a lot of Bitcoin, and they plan to continue holding it. Everything on their website and on their investor deck says that they plan to continue holding the Bitcoin. And so if the price of Bitcoin continues to rise, I think they're sitting on an asset that is only going to appreciate at a very good percentage. And so I like that business model. I also like the HIVE business model though, because they're converting what they mine into cash right away for profit that can be realized and looked at and sent back to shareholders. So I like both of these models. I think they're both good. The long-term factor here is going to be, does Bitcoin hit 50,000, 75, 100,000? Because if it does, both of these companies are going to do extremely well. And so from an investment standpoint, I am already invested in HIVE. I think before I add more to my HIVE position, I might diversify a little bit with the Hut 8 position, because I do like it. I like that they're in Alberta. I like that they're focused on Bitcoin, and I like that they're holding it. So I like both of these companies. I think if you're going to get into the space through a stock, either one of them is a good option. Do I think you should go with one over the other? Well, it depends on your long-term perspective on Bitcoin. Are you a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year holder of Bitcoin? If you are, then I think Hut 8's probably the answer. If you're maybe this is a trend, maybe I want to get out a little quicker, and maybe I want to see those profits right away, if that's where your mindset is at, then you're probably better off with HIVE. That's my opinion, and that's just my opinion, and so you need to take that with a grain of salt. However, if you're interested in learning more about these stocks and learning more about how to read the charts and analyze these companies and go through the financial statements, then definitely consider signing up for my stock market course. It is completely free when you sign up for a free trial on Skillshare, and there's a link down below that will give you full access to my 9-hour course. So if you can do the whole course in under 9 hours, you get the entire thing for free. You cancel your subscription. It won't cost you a single thing. There's over 2,300 students that have gone through the course. There's 142 plus reviews for you to read through and see what honest people thought of the course. It's hosted on Skillshare, and there is a link down below if you'd like to take a look. And lastly, do your own due diligence. This is just my opinion. This is not a sponsored video. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button though. I sincerely appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. We've got a weekly watch list video coming out on Sunday. Make sure you stay tuned to that. Like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.